Coming off the excellent team win last Thursday, our mind is and our focus obviously has been on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Huge, huge week for our organization. Where we're at in our season, AFC North opponent, and so it's exciting times around here. Again, beautiful weather here in Cleveland, so we come to expect this year. But excited about the week.
Coach, your kickoff coverage has been exemplary. What's been the difference this year?
I think the kicker, it starts with the kicker. He's done a really nice job of a little bit of directional, but mainly getting the hang time we need. And, we call them hang type kicks, and we're trying to get it, some teams goal line, some teams 3 deep, some teams 5-yard line, and as much hang time as possible. It starts with him. Because we covered well early, I think guys have confidence now. And as I tell them all the time, don't get comfortable. Be confident, have a little bit of swagger, but never get comfortable, because it just takes one to hurt your stats. Not that I'm a stat guy, but hurt your football team. So I'm very pleased with where we're at right now. And the great thing last week, we had 3 or 4 guys out, and the next guy stepped up and did a real nice job for us.
Like, you had to be particularly happy for Dearness. He's played so much.
Oh yeah.
Have that night.
So my daughter will laugh at me, or my daughters, everybody in my family will laugh at me, but I had tears in my eyes after that game, because Kevin was talking about Dearness after the game, and gave him a game ball, and he's been through so much, and he's worked so hard, and he's done a great job for us on special teams. And like I've told you guys before, anytime a special teamer steps up and does a great job on offense or defense, that's all I can talk about. He was outstanding, and all I told him during the week was just do your thing and protect the ball, and he did that and more. So I was real proud of him.
He's like that classic guy that understands when he gets here, he's got to make it on special teams.
Sure.
But do you see that right away in guys? Like, can you just sense that when a guy shows up?
Absolutely. It's all about, most of the time, it's attitude and effort. And then, I tell them, do what I ask you to do and coach you to do, and then let God take over. Let your talent take over. Let your abilities take over. And he's one of those guys that have done that. And a lot of our good special teamers that we have here now and in the past have bought into being a good special teams player first and foremost, and then they go from there.
It seems like the last couple of games that Jimmy Gillen has punted better.
Yes.
And so what happened?
Well, he worries too much sometimes, and sometimes if you overthink stuff, like any young kicker or punter, you have issues. So we basically told him to go out there and just focus on a good drop and kick up and through the ball and do your thing, and he's done a much better job the last 2 weeks.
Back to Dearness for a second. When you got here, what did you see in him? And also, this year they drafted Demetric Felton, and that running back room was really stacked, and he came into camp pretty much on that edge. Just, what did you see in him that made you, I should say, feel he was so valuable, and that, as it turns out, he really has been.
What he did, he knew obviously when we drafted Demetric that it was going to be tougher for him to make our football team. And the early conversations I had with him back in the spring were, I got to just go out and compete and work hard every day and let the chips fall where they may. And that's what he did. And I was real proud of the way he competed. A lot of guys would get angry. A lot of guys would have their feelings hurt. A lot of guys would go in the tank. He didn't do that. He stepped up to the challenge and did a nice job for us in the preseason and earned a spot on this football team, which ultimately helped us win a game last Thursday.
When's the last time you teared up like that in a post-game speech?
Well, pretty much every time we win. Winning's hard in the NFL, so but that was pretty cool. That was a cool moment for Dearness and a cool moment for really our whole team, because that exemplifies who we are. Next man up. We've talked about that from Kevin and Andrew and everybody on down, and that was kind of a really, really good thing for our organization and for the rest of the players to see that. What this guy's been through, and to compete and to play so well and to help us win that game was really a cool thing.
Given your interim stint last year against the Steelers, was there any discussion about taking over for this game?
No. Shoot, I've got enough to worry about with special teams. No, it was a great moment for our city a year ago, but that was back in January. That's old news.
What kind of memento do you have for that game?
I'm sorry?
What kind of memento do you have with that game? Like game ball or anything?
Well, the whole team got a game ball. The whole organization did. My memento was having my wife and children there, and that was really cool. And all 4 of my kids and my wife were there, and it was a very special moment for our family, but even more so a special moment for this team, this city, and like I said, throughout after that game. And 20 years from now, I can look back and say that was a really awesome moment. It'll always be an awesome moment, but now our focus is on the Steelers this week.
Mike, what happened on that block field goal?
The right guard, they did a great job. They did a great get off, and they got underneath our right guard's pads, and he was back on his heels, which is exactly what we don't teach. And he got knocked back, and it was good penetration on them. It was a good kick. It was a solid kick. The timing was good. It was all our right guard. It was poor technique, and I didn't have it prepared, so that won't happen again. At least
That was Billings, right? Has he been out there?
he's been there before. He takes reps every week as a backup, and we had some injuries on the offensive line, as you know, and so I try to complement our field goal team with defensive players as well as offensive linemen to just in case we do have injuries like that. So I didn't have him prepared, and it was poor technique on his part. He's been out there 2 or 3 times before, and he's done a nice job. So it was just he got caught off guard, and the guy did a great job.
I would think you'd like his size.
Oh, no, it's no doubt. Love his size, and he may be used there again. He's just got to. We'll get him fixed.
Talking about the Steelers, like their punter Harvin, looks like he can really import one. Does that really change anything for you when you have that punter that can really get in there?
Yeah, he is really liked him coming out of Georgia Tech, and Pittsburgh was smart enough to draft him, and because I think they needed a punter, they were looking to make a change there, and he's a young guy that's got a big time leg, as you know. I think he's trying to be a little bit of a directional punter, and every now and then he'll, I think he's knocked one out of bounds at 20 yards, 30 yards, 32 yards, somewhere in that area. We got to be prepared for all that stuff, a shorter, higher kick or a bomb. So my job on Sunday will to make sure that Dimitri gets aligned correctly, so we put him in the best position to get to all those punts.
We talk so much about Justin Tucker, but does Boswell get overlooked for? I think I saw a stat that his percentage is the best in the last 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah, he's really good. I mean, he's had a nice career there. I know he got a little banged up towards the end of last year. But he kicks off well. He can kick off directionally. He can kick off short, deep, whatever he wants to do, squibs. And obviously his PATs and field goals have been excellent this year, and they typically are. And to kick in that venue that he kicks in and week out at home, and then coming here and going to Baltimore and going to Cincinnati and still performing well in tough conditions is a tribute to him.
Did Chase check another box for you with that 52-yarder into the dog pound? I don't know how windy it was at that time, but
It was fairly windy. No, it was probably a little bit windier in pregame, and he made, I want to say a 57-yarder or 55-yarder in that area in pregame, and that gave us a lot of confidence. And Kevin and I talk pregame all the time about what the winds are doing, how well he did in pregame, how confident he is, and like I told you guys the last couple of weeks, Chase is a mentally tough young man, and he's done a really nice job for us this year.
when you pick a kicker at the beginning of the season, wasn't here the year ago, there's obviously naturally questions, especially if it's someone that doesn't have a lengthy resume
Right.
in the NFL.
Mhm.
Just how has your feeling or perception or confidence from week 1 to now changed for the better, just with how well he's kicked?
Well, I think anytime a young man performs that well, you're going to have more and more confidence, and you're going to give him more and more opportunities. And if he was struggling a little bit with the long ones, we wouldn't attempt those. We'd either punt there or go for it. And he's now allowed us to use him as a weapon for our football team, and he's made some big kicks for us.
As well as you know Ernest, were you surprised he didn't have a touchdown celebration from here?
No, I think he's one of the more humble guys I've ever met in my life. And if he did, I would have given him a really hard time. I was teasing him all last week. I'm like, hey, don't worry about coming to special teams meeting. You're too big time for me now. You're a big offensive player, superstar. I think didn't he won FedEx Ground Player of the Week or something like that? So now I'll never get him back now. He's like, no, I'm only kidding. I'm so proud of him.
He's ready. He's got one now.
Yeah, he does. He does.